I didn't see you there. So this time it's nope, not a coffee review. It's going to be once more an electric skateboard review. I was able to get my hands on a Boosted Mini X. So the recent model from last year and the last summer, where Boosted basically changed their whole product line from the single FlexiBoard to a new replacement FlexiBoard, a super speed FlexiBoard called the Stealth, and two compact size commuters, the Mini S and the Mini X. I wanted to review the Mini X because it's slightly faster and has a much bigger battery, therefore a much bigger range. So let's go over this board quickly. So why the Mini X? This is the answer from Boosted for a shorter length board, so about 33-inch long instead of the 39 from the regular Boosted. This is mainly geared towards people who need to commute on their board, but also may have some travel distance to accomplish in the bus or in the metro. So smaller size means it's more portable. It can fit better under the seat. It can maybe, even if you're tall enough like me, you can put it vertically between your legs while holding the bus pole, and you're safe. So Boosted took the opportunity to redesign the board from the ground up. So they did not partner with Loaded Board like they did in the past for the long boards. Now, instead of using their shorter boards, which is a Tesseract, they decided to come up with their own composite board. So it's a board like you see on snowboards that is made of multiple layers of different material for rigidity, for solidity, and for, of course, manufacturing costs are lower because for Boosted, they made their own boards now. So the board is brand new. It's concave, so that's also a good thing. The board is not the only part that's new. The trucks are custom made also. The wheels, they did not go with the orangutan like in the past, but they decided to go with a custom polyurethane recipe made by them. The 80mm 78A wheels that are called the Lunar wheels on the Boosted Mini X are pretty great. They're very sturdy. They took the potholes and the cracks in Montreal quite easily, so that part is at least covered. That's great. So the wheels, the deck, the trucks, what else? Motors, same motors as you're used to on Boosted boards. So the same kind of chime when you're running the motors at full speed that you already know and most people love. Yeah, regarding that noise, it's cool because if you ride a board that's fairly silent, like I'm used to ride the X-Way X1, this one has almost no noise. So people are quite surprised when they see you going fast, like at 30 kilometers per hour, 40 kilometers per hour in their direction. They're scared. So, but the motors, what I realized is that this is, by the way, the first bell-driven motor skateboard that I'm tested. So it's pretty cool to actually finally be able to test one. And on the bike path, what usually happens with my X-Way is people realize I'm right there when they hear the actual wheels on the pavement behind them, which is maybe 2-3 meters before them. So it's quite dangerous. But with the Mini X, when I get close to people, maybe at, I don't know, like 20 meters or so, they hear some whining noise and they look behind them to make sure that what is this noise? And that's how you can just slow down a bit. They move out of the way. It's a much better way to basically share the bike path. So the color scheme of the Mini X is kind of like with the Boosted Stealth. It's more of a dark gray, light gray kind of color scheme. I really love it. I never hated the orange wheel, the signature orange Boosted. These were always great, but I feel that having multiple products with different color scheme is even better nowadays. So props to Boosted for this color choice. It's pretty great. So before I get into the specifics of my experience, I wanted to point out that this was actually a refurbished unit that Boosted sent me for review. It was nowhere near a new condition. I could see lots of scratches here and there, and while most of the board was pretty refurbished, so they usually replace most of the parts. In this case, the motors gave me some troubles. It didn't take long, maybe like 20 kilometers before I had some belt slippage, so I had to readjust everything. But even after that, I realized that there were a weird noise coming from the motor. So what I had to do is disassemble everything, clean everything to make sure there was not a rock or hair or whatever stuck in the motor. And after reassembling everything, putting some nice Loctite on the screws, I realized that that wasn't the problem. The motors were actually shot. So I had to get those replaced. So I took the opportunity to test Boosted support. I contacted them through their website, as any regular buyer would do. send them a couple of videos of the noises that the motor makes and all those things. They quickly responded that the motors were broken and they had to be replaced, so they were shipping me 2 new motors for my skateboard. Up to this point, perfect support. Can't say anything bad about this. It took 3 weeks to get here. So I know I'm in Canada, Montreal. They're on the West Coast, so there's some big distance to travel from them to me. But then, yeah, after those 3 weeks, I basically finally were able to replace the motors. So let's go over the features quickly. The Boosted Mini X has a maximum speed of 20 miles per hour. So that's about 32 kilometers per hour. It has a range of 14 miles. So that's about 22.5 kilometers. Now, don't freak out, 22.5 kilometers is a lot, but there are some caveats for that. It might not work for everyone and every way. More on that in a second. So it has a custom deck, custom trucks, custom wheels. Everything is basically made by Boosted now, so it's a fully boosted product from 80s. So let's start with the speed. So I'm used to ride hub motor skateboards. Therefore, right now I have the X-Way X1, so it's a pretty fast board that can go up to 38 kilometers per hour. So sometimes I'm reaching even 40 on the remote if I have a slight downhill. So I'm used to go pretty fast. However, the torque isn't there, like on some belt-driven motor. So when I was going on the boosted, as I usually do, I start with the slowest mode. So I started with the beginner mode, went around with this, way too easy, moved on to eco mode, pretty nice, not fast enough, went up to the expert mode, and once again, like, hey, I would like to try the 4th mode, which is the fastest one, but no, there's only 3 modes. So the last one stops at 32 kilometers per hour, which is not bad. Like it's a good 20 miles per hour. It's perfect for regular commutes. I usually don't go maximum speed in Montreal where there's cracks and everything. But yeah, I would like to have maybe 36, 38 kilometers per hour. It would be even better for me. Not for a speed at which I'm gonna ride every time, but just when you want to just pass by a bike that's actually a pretty good biker with all this little gear. They usually go faster than regular cyclists, so you just need to go around them, and that little speed boost would help. In terms of braking, given that it's a belt-driven system, it's much better for braking. The braking distance is quite reduced compared to hub motors. If you compare it to the Cool, the X-Way, the wind boards that I've tried, every board I tried, the juiced board, needs some large amount of space to fully stop. In the case of the boosted, being heavy, it still takes some distance, but it's much easier to navigate while you're riding. If you just need to slow down, go around an obstacle or something, the belt system is much better at slowing you down quicker. Not necessarily stopping you completely, but slowing you down quicker so you can just make your maneuver and go around the obstacle. That's pretty great. So moving on to the part that is the one that most skateboarders or electric device drivers want to know about, the range. So the Boosted Mini X has an advertised range of 14 miles with the extended battery, which it comes by default on the Mini X. The Mini S is a smaller battery. Those 14 miles are equivalent to 22 kilometers in the metric system. So I'm heavy, so I'm like 250 pounds, therefore this takes a toll on the battery. Also, I always ride in expert mode, the fastest mode available. I try to kick push when I'm stuck at a red light, but even then, with all that, I can get up to about 11 kilometers. So that's about 6.84 miles, so almost 7 miles, which is, like I said, in the fastest mode. If you want to take that number and stretch it, you can always go down to the eco mode, which is slower. However, 32 kilometers per hour at max speed for me is kind of already a bit slow, so I would like to keep the full speed available for me. But if I really need to go from point A to point B and I know that it's longer than 11 kilometers, I'll go down to eco mode, at least for the first half of the trip, so that I have some leeway to get there. I can probably almost double that 11 kilometers, maybe go about, I don't know, like 17, 18 if I drive eco mode only. But right now my daily commute is to work and back, which is about like 7 kilometers, and I have over 30-35% of battery left when I get home. So I don't need to bring a charger to work. I can just charge it during the night, and I can just go to work and back on a single charge. That's just perfect. Moving on to the riding comfort, looking at the specs, at the graphics, what do you see? You see a stiff deck, a short deck, you see medium-sized wheels, like 80 millimeters is not too big. You can get like 90 and 100 now. Looking at this, you might feel that the driving is not that comfortable. but you're wrong. I was actually very surprised that the way they made the board, the wheels, the PU, and they even have pre-installed shock pads. All this makes the riding much better than I was expecting. It's not as comfortable as a flexi deck for sure, because that flexi deck absorbs some of the shock. But if you want to ride something for a long period of time and you try to carve a bit, take some breaks also here and there during your trip, because of course, like now we're driving like that, your calf are gonna burn like hell. But basically, this is a very, very comfortable ride. So I'm actually pretty surprised. It's by no means perfect. There are ways to make this even better. This is actually much better than the X-Way, much better than other also stiff boards. I remember the crappy, the Wingboard GT M8 version 2 I tested. It was like a 2x4 kind of piece of wood, and that was the board. So it wasn't that great. So overall, the experience is pretty great. The Mini X, if you're looking for a small commuter board that has a good range, this is the board to get. It's fast, it's sturdy, and it's also easy to maintain. So you can yourself, and with no specific knowledge required, replace the wheels, the belt, just everything. Replace the motor. It's really just like 4 screws and 1 connector. It's super easy. You can change the grip tape. You can also remove everything from the board, do that yearly kind of cleanup that most enthusiasts do. And you can even change put a sticker on the back to really customize it. But like everything on that board is made to be replaced. And it's not like if tomorrow Boosted will change their motors and they won't be able to ship new motors. They have been using similar motors over the last couple of years, and they will have parts for replacement for sure in the future. Range is good. If you're lighter than me, just to go back to, I'm 115 pounds. That's about 250 pounds. You can get a much better range for sure. If you're like in the 150 or the 125 range, you can probably get from that 11 kilometers I'm getting, probably even get that 15, 16 on expert mode quite easily. If you want to get a lot more range, go down to eco mode. You'll be able to drive a lot farther. My tip is to basically start your trip on the eco mode. You go slow at first, and then when you cross the half of the trip, then that's when you change back to expert for the last half, and you should be pretty okay with the range. Comfort is great. The shock pads that are already installed make a big difference. The wheels are good. The PU is a great quality. It won't tear in a couple of kilometers. I've ridden over 100 kilometers on it, and I've rode it on pavement with tons of rocks, cracks, potholes, everything. No problem. It doesn't even crack or nothing. It's like brand new right now with just dust around it, so it's pretty great. So that's it for today. This is my review of the Boosted Mini X. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you really like my content, subscribe. So let me know what you're writing right now in the comments. I'm looking into maybe changing my board in the future. So if you have any suggestions of what you actually have right now and you really love, performance, range, all those things, let me know in the comments. And if you have anything else to report on the video, let me know. Thanks for watching. Have a nice week. Bye.